Imagine yourself standing amidst a boundless, desolate expanse where a gentle breeze whispers yet bears a profound, bone-chilling cold. An ethereal nothingness envelops you, devoid of landmarks or direction, leaving only you and the persistent, resonant echoes of existential queries deep within your heart. You have long believed that life holds a definitive answer, a grand purpose, a fated convergence, or a promised shore beckoning beyond the horizon. You have dedicated your entire existence to a fervent chase, relentlessly toiling, convinced that with just a little more speed, a little more effort, that elusive meaning would descend upon you like an epiphanic radiance, suddenly enveloping your being. But what if I were to tell you that this illumination may never materialize? What if the very meaning you so desperately yearn for was, from its genesis, an illusion? As you daily engage in a perpetual cycle of actions deemed meaningful by societal decree, academic pursuits, career advancement, property acquisition, marital unions, and procreation, alongside the relentless indoctrination of positive affirmations and aspirational objectives, have you ever paused to truly question, is this truly your intrinsic purpose, or merely a predetermined narrative meticulously crafted by others for your enactment? You dread halting, for fear of confronting the chasm of inner emptiness, an abyss so profound that merely gazing into it threatens to consume your very being. Have you too experienced those moments of profound revelry amidst the clamor of crowds, only to find yourself utterly enshrouded by a deep, boundless solitude upon midnight's quiet return? This solitude stems not from a dearth of companionship, but from the haunting perception that your connection to this world is profoundly fragile, perhaps even illusory. We are admonished to unearth life's profound purpose and to cultivate a life of intrinsic worth. But who precisely ordained the criteria for such worth? Is it the saccharine banalities of self-proclaimed success gurus? The meticulously curated, flawlessly filtered existences paraded across social media platforms? Or the prescriptive dictates from parental figures and mentors regarding the person you ought to become? Despite your exhaustive efforts to approximate these resplendent archetypes, does a persistent undercurrent of disquiet and incongruity ever plague your innermost being? The more fervently you seek, the more you discover that this purported meaning proves to be an ephemeral mirage, perpetually shifting, dissolving into nothingness moments before your grasp, leaving you isolated amidst a barren landscape. Does life indeed unfold upon a preordained script, or is it utterly bereft of any such narrative? If the latter, for what purpose do we endure all these experiences? Is this chilling sensation of nothingness a mere phantasm, or the stark truth we have persistently shied away from confronting? And if this grim reality holds true, how then are we to proceed? Are you prepared to confront this question, both harrowing and profoundly emancipating? For the true odyssey, it seems, has only just commenced.
This abyssal void of meaninglessness, far from being merely a singular delusion of your own, is the most ancient specter haunting human civilization, a truth to which we have collectively, selectively blinded ourselves. It is not an imposition from external forces, but rather an intrinsic outgrowth of our brain's most fundamental operating mechanisms, deftly exploited and amplified by societal constructs. Have you ever pondered the profound impetus behind our insatiable yearning for meaning? It transcends a mere psychological prerequisite. It is an inherent imperative of our consciousness, the primal yearning within Jung's collective unconscious for archetypal narratives and the heroic journey. Our cerebrum, inherently a sophisticated apparatus for meaning fabrication, abhors the indiscriminate nature of chaos and randomness, craving instead order, discernible patterns, and causality, and above all, a comprehensive, overarching narrative to contextualize our very existence. Thus, when confronted with a chaotic cosmos, the mind instinctively weaves intricate tapestries of meaning, ensnaring us within their threads, thereby affording us a semblance of security and command. Society, with astute precision, has seized upon this profound human exigency. It furnishes us with a veritable panoply of mass-produced meaning kits, ranging from the eternal hereafter promised by faiths to the grand narratives of nationalism, from the material opulence extolled by consumerism to the individualistic striving championed by self-improvement doctrines. These prefabricated tenets of meaning, akin to a spiritual opiate, efficiently benumb your innate awareness of life's inherent void. You are exhorted to embrace the conviction that by adhering to a specific doctrine, dedicating yourself to a particular vocation, acquiring certain commodities, or attaining designated achievements, you can effectively assuage the internal void and discover your preordained purpose. Nietzsche presciently posited that with the demise of God, humanity would invariably confront a profound crisis of meaning. Yet his more profound insight revealed that humanity, unable to countenance the vacuum of meaninglessness, would invariably erect novel idols and values to supplant the defunct deities. We now inhabit an epoch where archaic grand narratives have crumbled, while new, fragmented, and predominantly consumer-driven meanings proliferate relentlessly, inundating your social media feeds, your purchasing desiderata, and your professional trajectories. Schopenhauer, with a starker, more disquieting candor, posited the essence of life to be the blind, relentless impetus of will, a ceaseless torrent of desire and primal instinct for self-preservation, inextricably interwoven with an enduring torment. Each objective we pursue, once attained, yields but a transient gratification, swiftly succeeded by a fresh surge of desires and an even more profound void. You ceaselessly leap from one aspiration to the next, from one perceived meaning to another, striving through an incessant state of doing to elude the very essence of being. This intrinsic mechanism, coupled with external society's relentless provision of novel meaning labels, drives you into a state of perpetual exhaustion, precluding any genuine pause for introspection into the bedrock of these constructed significances. How much of the anxiety, the competitive involution, the spiritual attrition you experience stems from your relentless pursuit of a phantom that in truth possesses no existence whatsoever? You presume yourself to be in quest of life's definitive answers, yet is it not conceivable that you are merely employing a proliferation of inquiries to obfuscate a startling expanse of nothingness, one that lies overtly before you, yet which you instinctively recoil from confronting? Have you not yet discerned that this transcends mere psychological perturbation, revealing itself as a profound, intricate gambit concerning the very stratagems by which the human psyche orchestrates its own deception? Have you not yet discerned how this collective pursuit and preordained assignment of meaning has surreptitiously shaped every choice you make, indeed the very trajectory of your destiny, and the foundational architecture of our entire society? It operates like an invisible, predetermined script, meticulously penned long before your inception, then imperceptibly inculcated into your consciousness beyond the realm of question. From your nascent years in early education, you were indoctrinated with the imperative to become a productive individual and to pinpoint a life's purpose. This pedagogical framework was not designed to ignite your intrinsic spirit of inquiry, but rather to seamlessly integrate you into a pre-existing production chain, destining you to become a mere cog within some grand endeavor. Your cerebrum has been conditioned to assimilate the belief that your inherent worth is contingent upon the quantifiable contributions you render to this systemic apparatus, and upon the multitude of externally validated credentials you accrue: academic distinctions, professional designations, material prosperity, and social standing. This deeply entrenched psychological conditioning shrewdly leverages our brain's inherent cognitive biases. For instance, the anchoring effect ensures that your perceptions of success and meaning are firmly tethered to the resplendent exemplars presented by society. Witnessing individuals ostensibly achieve life's worth through arduous striving, you are led to believe this to be the singular viable path, even when such a trajectory directly contravenes the profound aspirations of your inner self. Moreover, the conformity effect prevails, As the collective chases a singular standardized meaning, you succumb to the fear of ostracism and marginalization, consequently suppressing your unique inclinations and conforming to the ostensibly secure currents of the mainstream. You may delude yourself into believing in genuine autonomy of choice, yet in actuality, each seemingly independent decision constitutes an unwitting echo of the dominant narrative of meaning. More alarmingly still, our pervasive culture, disseminated through media, pedagogy, and entertainment, incessantly reinforces this archetypal template of a meaningful existence. It peddles anxiety, instilling in you a profound dread of insignificance, leading you to erroneously conclude that a life devoid of a grand objective is tantamount to failure. You are indoctrinated with the notion that your very existence can only be validated through a ceaseless procession of achievements. This compels you to perpetually cast your gaze towards the horizon, living for a meaning yet to materialize, whilst remaining utterly oblivious to the profound richness of present experience. You are driven into such a frenetic pace that you scarcely possess the respite to even utter a solitary why, for fear that such an inquiry might instantly shatter the meticulously woven tapestry of illusion. Is your life not being inexorably tugged by an unseen, yet extraordinarily potent cultural gravitational force, compelling you towards a trajectory you have never genuinely scrutinized? Do you not perceive yourself ensnared within an ethereal confinement, its walls meticulously constructed from the very falsehoods of meaning, yet remain adrawingly unaware that the exit has in fact always remained unlatched? That gnawing unease, that faint flicker of indignation, these are but the final, urgent alarms sounded by your innate instincts. Should you fail to awaken, you risk plunging into an even profounder abyss, so deep that the resonant murmurings of your inner self will be utterly silenced. But is this predicament truly insurmountable? Or is the solution perhaps far simpler and more radically transformative than you could ever conceive? You feel oppressed, constrained, precisely because you have persistently endeavored to navigate a new continent with an archaic cartography. Indoctrinated with the notion that life inherently possesses a fixed purpose, you have devoted your entire existence to its fervent quest and pursuit, yet have never entertained the radical possibility that the genuine answer requires no seeking whatsoever, for it has perpetually resided within your grasp. Now let us fundamentally subvert this ingrained perception. Life, in its essence, is utterly devoid of any predetermined meaning. It is rather an absolute tabula rasa. Yet this is no malediction. It is in fact a celestial endowment, the ultimate liberation you had scarcely dared to contemplate. Reflect upon a pristine canvas laid before you. Does it inherently lack significance? Nay, it possesses an infinitude of latent possibilities. Its essence shall be sculpted by the brush in your hand, the hues conceived in your mind, and the tableau you aspire to render. So too is life. It bears no intrinsic meaning. Its profundity is entirely contingent upon you, upon the manner in which you choose to imbue it. This stands in sharp contrast to the passive discovery of meaning. It is rather an active, generative, even audacious stance. You are no longer a mere consumer of meaning, but its sovereign architect. What profound implications does this hold? It signifies that you are at liberty to cease your relentless pursuit of the grand narratives externally imposed upon you. You may desist from living in perpetual deference to the expectations of others and from being held captive by society's prescriptive templates of meaning. Your life ceases to be a mere blank form awaiting completion. It transmutes into an unpolished gem awaiting meticulous sculpting, a symphony yearning for its harmonious composition. You no longer need external validation to substantiate your intrinsic worth, for your value resides in the very essence of your being and in the boundless realm of all that you choose to bring into existence. Throughout history, those rare individuals who attained profound understanding of existence have, without exception, embraced the profound verity that nihilism is freedom. The philosopher Albert Camus, when confronted with the inherent absurdity and meaninglessness of the world, eschewed despair in favor of revolt. He postulated that the essence of life's meaning lies not in discovering an ultimate answer, but rather in a persistent defiance of absurdity itself, in consciously choosing to endure and to forge one's own intrinsic worth, even in the full awareness of life's inherent knack of meaning. His iconic Sisyphus, perpetually rolling a boulder uphill, despite knowing its inevitable descent, nonetheless chose to perpetuate the cycle, discovering within its very repetition a singular dignity and purpose. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, amidst the infernal crucible of Auschwitz, did not inquire into life's meaning, but rather posed the question, "What question does life pose to me?"
He discovered that even in the most abysmal depths of suffering, an individual could persevere, provided they identified a purpose for which they were willing to endure such hardship. This purpose was not bestowed upon them, but was rather chosen and forged by their own volition. You too are endowed with this profound prerogative. You are absolved from the necessity of a grand, externally validated objective to underpin your existence. Your meaning might manifest as the simple solace of a morning coffee, the heartfelt embrace shared with a cherished soul, the meticulous refinement of a craft, an act of compassionate assistance to a stranger, or merely the profound act of pure existence, savoring each conscious breath. For the very first time, the narrative of your life truly rests within your own sovereign command. This constitutes an immense responsibility, yet more significantly, an unparalleled liberation. Do you perceive it? That surging exhilaration of unshackling yourself from restrictive bonds, of reclaiming dominion over your own life's trajectory? That long dormant, nascent power of self-awakening, burgeoning within your very core? All preceding exposition now converges upon this most profound and revelatory insight. When existence is divested of all superimposed, preordained meaning, it does not diminish into utter vacuity. Rather, it blossoms into an unparalleled fullness, an unadulterated authenticity. What you once perceived as an abyss of nothingness, the terminal point, the deepest chasm, is, in truth, the very genesis, the realm of infinite potentiality. The absence of inherent meaning in life is not a tragic pronouncement, but rather a cause for jubilant celebration, a monumental emancipation. Precisely because life is unburdened by any preordained meaning, your very existence, your inherent being, constitutes meaning itself. Your every breath, your rhythmic heartbeat, each thought you conceive, every choice you make, and every experience you encounter, these are, in their unadulterated essence, the irrefutable testament to your being, the very strokes with which you inscribe your singular meaning. You are no longer compelled to seek an external purpose to validate your right to exist. Your mere state of being alive is, in itself, the preeminent objective. This sensation is akin to having perpetually borne a cumbersome satchel, laden with expectations of others, the stringent norms of society, the accumulated burdens of the past, and the gnawing anxieties of the future. Yet in an instant of profound realization, you discover the satchel to be empty, free to be relinquished, allowing you then to commence a weightless, unencumbered dance. This transformative understanding does not engender a descent into nihilism, nor does it advocate for passivity or inaction. On the contrary, it empowers you to become immeasurably more proactive and profoundly self-determined. Only when you cease your exhaustive and frenetic scramble for found meaning can you genuinely embark upon the profound act of creating meaning. Every step you take will no longer be a passive reaction to external stimuli, but rather an assertive articulation of your authentic self. Every choice you make will transcend mere conformity to predetermined standards, serving instead as a deliberate manifestation of your innermost desires. You are no longer a mere product on an assembly line, but a singular, irreplaceable work of art, and you yourself are the sole artisan of this masterpiece. This necessitates a profound reevaluation of every facet of your existence. Does your vocation serve merely as a means of sustenance, or as a conduit for the creation of authentic value? Are your interpersonal connections a mere palliative for emptiness,
Or are they forged from a bedrock of genuine communion? Do you merely while away your hours in the avoidance of ennui, or do you immerse yourself fully within the embrace of profound passions? You are henceforth liberated from the compulsion to elucidate your raison d'etre to anyone, and from the necessity of external appellations to define your triumphs. Your success is inextricably linked to the very person you elect to embody and the profound depths of the experiences you choose to cultivate. Embrace that boundless freedom, that profound vitality, authentically your own, now unburdened by accumulated weight. It is not an emptiness, but an infinitude. It marks not a termination, but an entirely nascent commencement. Only when you authentically embrace the fundamental truth that life inherently lacks preordained meaning can you confront the world with the most unadulterated courage and forge the existence you genuinely desire. Your life has never been bound by a predetermined script. It has perpetually existed as a pristine canvas, patiently awaiting the vibrant splashes and bold strokes of your very being. Now, with the brush firmly within your grasp, are you poised to begin? Go forth and manifest your own intrinsic meaning. Actualize your own magnum opus.